Hi, I'm Bruno with... This is Bruno with 4 Cents by Bruno. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to make your own baby back ribs and a homemade dry rub. Let's get to it. Alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our dry rub. There's no reason why you should ever buy any of these rubs because they put a lot of things in them that you really don't want to put in your body, and this way we can put in just the dry ingredients. You buy the dry ingredients you want, and then you have only what you want. There's no MSG or any other chemicals you don't need. So let's get started. First thing we're going to have is we want some spice. We want to have that smoky flavor. Here's some ground chipotle peppers. So we're going to dump them in there. And in this we want a lot of heat. And so we got some cayenne pepper and paprika. And then here we have some garlic powder. The garlic powder and the onion powder look very much alike, so I didn't... almost forgot which was which. And here we have some kosher salt, no iodine in it, and fresh ground black pepper. We just ground it before we started taping. And of course, this makes the wife happy. She loves the heat. We have some red pepper flakes and mustard powder and rosemary. Now we buy the rosemary, it's kind of very coarse. We regrind it through a coffee grinder so that it becomes fine like that. And now we're just gonna mix this up here. All right, because now, just so you know, the difference between a dry rub and a wet rub is just whether you put liquid in it or not. Now, we don't put any sugar in this because my wife has diabetes, and I find that we really don't need it. Now, the sweet element will give you a little more depth in the flavor. It kind of gives you that sense of security, and then the heat sneaks up on you a little bit more. I have a friend, and he knows who he is, who talks about this, and he's absolutely correct. But we're avoiding it for that reason. You could use a little stevia in it if you wanted, if you had diabetes. We're going to stay away from it tonight, though. So now that we have that mixed nice and even, we're going to put this off to the side, and we're going to get these out of the way. And now I'm going to show you how to prepare our ribs. Now, when you get the ribs, they're usually vacuum sealed, and first thing you want to do is flip them over. I started this off right here. It's a bit of a pain in the neck to get it started. Usually a little knife, be careful not to cut yourself. And this membrane, this skin off the back of the ribs, you really have to make sure you take this off, because if you don't remove this, two things happen. One is it doesn't let all that good seasoning get into your meat from the back. And the other thing is that when people eat it, it's kind of chewy. You can't chew it up, and it's just unpleasant to have in your mouth. So if you've ever been someplace where the ribs were really cheap and it had this membrane on the back, I'm sure you didn't like it. It gets caught in your teeth. It's just miserable. Anyway, so we want to get our flavor in there. So that's the first thing we do is get that off. And then once we get that off the back, we get this knife out of the way here. Now we're going to start putting our dry rub on here. We're just going to sprinkle this on here really generously, like this. Okay. Now we're going to do exactly what it says. We're just going to rub that in really nice. All right. Now, if you find you want it to stick a little bit better, or like some people like to put this on earlier, I don't see that there's really a big difference in whether I put my dry rub on and let it set for a few hours or not. If you do, you can absolutely put it on, set it and let it go in the refrigerator for a few hours, or even till tomorrow, up to 24 hours. I won't let it sit too much longer than that. Get a little more of this over here. We want to make sure we cover all the surfaces. Okay, get this turned over. That's a little bit of parchment paper we put underneath there. Okay, now what we're going to do is, after we get this all rubbed on here, all right, we're going to show you. Now, most of you do not have smokers. If you have a smoker, then you probably know what to do then. You're going to take this then and you're going to get a fire going in there, and you want this on indirect heat, and you're going to smoke this for probably about 3 to 6 hours. If you keep it down around 220, which I find is ideal, then you're going to smoke it for almost 6 hours probably. And if you smoke at a little higher temperature, it'll be able to cook a little bit faster. And then you could do it that way. But we're going to show you another way to get this done, because a lot of you don't have a smoker or really aren't sure what to do with the smoker. So we're going to show you how to do this with a Dutch oven in your oven. Okay? This makes life much easier. So what we're going to do with these 2 racks of ribs now is we're going to place them in here. Okay? So since they're kind of long, all right? Whoops, we didn't get a lot of seasoning on this side here. We're going to cut them in half. Okay? Watch your fingers. You want to place them between the bones there. Okay. Give that a cut like that. Let's get some of our seasoning on there. All right. Make this one do the same thing. Look at that. All right. Take this one. Cut that in half. Okay. All right. Any place that doesn't have any seasoning on it or not enough, put a little bit more on there. All right. And don't worry, all this, it looks like we have all this excess seasoning that's going to go to waste. It's not. I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a minute. All right. So now what we've done is we put that in our Dutch oven, and that's ready to go in the oven. Now while we were doing this, we preheated the oven to 225. Okay. So we're going to put the cover on this. Okay. And now, as you can see, we have an oven thermometer in there. I never trust the temperature on the setting on the oven. Oftentimes they're a little bit off. It's 225. So we're going to get this in here. That shelf right there in the middle. And we're going to close this up. And we're going to let this go for about 45 minutes to an hour. Now, what we're going to do with the rest of this seasoning here, you say, geez, it looks like it went to waste. No, it didn't. Because now what we're going to do with this is we're going to make ourselves a mop. And that's the juice that we're going to use to season and baste our meat with when we check on it. Because we're going to check on it every 45 minutes to an hour. Okay? So what we're going to do to give that a little liquid so that we can keep the ribs moist is we're going to add some apple cider vinegar. I used to like to use Bragg's. It's organic. There's no chemicals in it. It still has the mother in it. Hello, mother. Hello, father. Anyway, now you know why I don't do videos on singing. Anyway, so we're gonna just gotta pour enough in here to make a paste out of this. Now you have to remember, because we put our hands in here while we were putting it on the meat, and because we're going to dip in here and put it on the meat before it's completely cooked, that when we're done, this has to be thrown out. You cannot keep it because it'll have had contact with the raw meat. Okay, so there's our seasoning to mop it with in the middle. we'll let this soak. I might dump a little bit more apple cider vinegar in it before I mop it on there, but I'll wait and see how much it soaks up before we baste the meat the first time. We'll see in a little bit. Now our ribs have been in the oven now almost 3 hours. We've cooked them low and slow. We've kept them moist. Now we're going to take them out and we're going to see what they look like in that Dutch oven. Okay, you're going to like this. Look at that. Now, is that pretty or what? Now, they don't have any of that char or that crispiness on the outside yet, but we're going to show you how we're going to fix that with the oven. Okay, because remember, we're trying to show you a way to do this without having a smoker or knowing how to work a smoker if you want it. Okay, so we're looking for this to be, we want to get this in the meat, but not against the bone, and sometimes the ribs is a little bit of a challenge. We want to be at least 160 degrees. I don't know if you can see that there, but we're definitely over 160 degrees. Okay, so now they're cooked. See how it pulled away from the bones? Look at how happy that is. Ooh, that's going to be delicious. What we need now is to brown them up a little bit. So this is how we're going to do it. Set this lid over here. All right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this pan. We're going to put these ribs in it. We're going to put them in the oven on broil just for a little bit. That is what's going to give us that crunchiness on the outside we're looking for. Okay, look at that. Is that happy or what? Okay. I don't like the food to be in contact with aluminum. I don't believe it's good for you, so that's why there's parchment paper in there. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. You see those? How those ribs, the bone, the meat's pulling away from the bones? That's what tells you that meat's cooked. And see, by cooking it low and slow like that, what we did is we gave it plenty of time for the fat to cook out of it. That's what's in that pot right there. That's mostly fat. That's all fat that came out of the ribs. And by doing it slow like that, all that time lets the protein break down so that the meat becomes nice and tender. So now, we're going to take this rack in the oven. I don't need this thermometer in here anymore. Move that out of the way. I don't want to put it up too close because we don't want to burn it. Definitely want to give them a little browning. So we're going to put them right there on that top shelf. Or the second shelf down, excuse me. Now you got to keep an eye on this, because you can burn them. We're going to put this on broil. And I would say we probably need about 3 to 5 minutes. We'll put the light on so we can keep an eye on it. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that, the meat's just coming right off there. Look how nice and tender that is. Comes right off the bone. Oh yeah. Mmm. Gotta keep the help happy. That's good. Now if you don't have a smoker or a grill, this is the way to try it. Give it a shot. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, go down the bottom there, punch that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. See our other videos. We'll be talking to you.